maybe 3,000 people sitting in the seats around you, then that's basically the equivalent of having maybe 100 people in that big of a seating area. It'd be probably the equivalent of having 100 people, close to 100 people, or whatever, a little bit over 100 people at like Lambeau Field. And a lot of that has to do with Kyle Busch's just dominance in, I shouldn't say the 18 cars dominance, or Gibbs cars dominance in the Xfinity Series, because I think we even see that, when he sits out, at Iowa, which they're going back to this weekend, Sam Hornish Jr. got in that car and just took care of business like Sam Hornish Jr. took over Kyle Busch's car and took over business as if you didn't, you're just, Kyle Busch was driving the car. And, so I think it was a little bit better than when Kyle Busch races it. And the Xfinity Series has got to look into something. They got to care. And Dave Moody, I don't think NASCAR cares about the parity of the sport, and I don't think they should. Well, and that was he was talking about the Cup Series, but, I gotta say that, he says that on one hat about the Xfinity Series, and it was in regards of NASCAR cheating or something like that, or NASCAR not wanting to see parity, or should be more concerned to see parity, which I think they should be worried about parity. Maybe not. I don't think they should care about who wins, and I'll agree with Dave Moody when he made kind of a comment about that. I don't think they should worry about what driver wins, but I think they should worry about how many drivers win in the season. They need to see parity. You can't see the single season dominance, because I think once you go to the Xfinity Series and see how bad things are there, your attendance, you're bleeding. I mean, that series can't be making money besides just sponsorship money. And so basically, are you just humoring yourself just to be racing out there? I think that the series has just lost its way so much too. I mean, besides the dominance, and as I said before, it's not just even a Kyle Busch thing, but even before that, it was Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Ryan Newman back in the day, almost winning every start that he was in, and it was Carl Edwards and all these Cup guys that once they get to a point where, they've won, maybe 10 races or something. Maybe scale back, maybe 5 races, I would say. Because some of these guys like Chase Elliott going back out there, he's relatively new. Kyle Larson hasn't won a cup race yet, so the experience might be all right for him. But some of these guys, Carl Edwards, Kevin Harvick, these champions, Brad Keselowski, do they really need to be out there? The cars are so different. I mean, I think you learn kind of the track itself and where things are, where characteristical things are on the track. But as far as how you're going to drive the car, I don't think you're really gaining anything by being out there on Saturday. I don't think it hurts, but I don't think you're gaining anything at all, really. And maybe minimal. And for some of these guys, is it going to be the difference of you losing the race? A guy like Kyle Busch, I mean, do you really need to race Saturday to win the Brickyard 400 on Sunday? Probably not. And I think it's and having those guys out there, I should say that we should totally ban. I shouldn't say we should totally. I should not say that we should totally ban guys like Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards. But I think you got to put a cap of the number of races it is. I mean, maybe every time you're in a win bracket, I don't know, lower it a few races. Maybe start from 10 and kind of whittle your way down to maybe around 5. And a lot of these guys, I mean, like Kevin Harvick now, I mean, he's really scaled back in how many Xfinity Series races that he competes in nowadays. So, I mean, maybe going back to something like that because a lot of times it is kind of cool to see your favorite driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr. when he won at Richmond. I mean, Jr. basically probably does it about right. I mean, whatever sponsorship dictates, but usually it's 2 to 3 to 5 races, maybe a year, depending on sponsorships. So, and it's cool to see him out there, but you're not seeing him out there every week. You're not seeing him out there dominating, whooping up on these young guys, and the Xfinity Series 2, where I think it could be good, is that you have a lot of these shoestring budget teams, more so than you see in the Cup Series, that are running mid pack or maybe a little bit better, that could use maybe a Cinderella win, which might be a little bit more possible. Guys like Ryan Sieg, if he could maybe have a chance to win a race if they didn't have bullies like Kyle Busch and those other on the other legs off the racetrack. And you could say, well, they want to beat these guys like Kyle Busch. I can tell you, Ryan Sieg's family-owned team has no shot. And in a week where he could have a shot to beat Austin Dillon or something, he finishes 7th, Austin Dillon finishes 8th. I mean, I'm sure that he likes seeing that. But when it's like every week or every other week or 2/3 of the week of the season that you're going to get beat out by Kyle Busch and he's going to win that race, it's got to be degrading. And I mean, not degrading, but just it's got to be just sickening. It's old. So something's got to be done, and you hope that NASCAR, after one boring season of Matt Kenseth whipping up on the field in 2003 for the championship, they immediately changed their points format, like that. But here with the Xfinity Series, I mean, this has been a complaint now for, almost 10 years, if not more, and they're continuing to do nothing on the matter, and gotta wonder if now maybe they shot themselves in the foot so much so that it might not make a difference. The series is done. I think the damage is done for that series. So we'll see. But moving on here, kind of quickly over to football here. Again, as training camp has begun for teams. I think the Packers were the first one to report. I think they reported on Monday. I think since then, I think just about all the teams have reported. But anyway, one team that should be happy, their quarterback situation may be a little bit clearer now, that the New York Jets have signed Ryan Fitzpatrick to a 1-year deal worth $12 million. And I guess all you can say at this point is what took either side so long, because now Ryan Fitzpatrick, you can blame Fitzy, you can blame the Jets, whatever, but either way, I think they both hampered themselves with a problem situation, maybe a little bit late in camp. Even some of the OTAs that have already gone on, he hasn't had the opportunity. I'm sure he stayed in shape, so it might not be that big of a deal, but maybe setting yourself off the 8 ball just a little bit. And a guy like Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's maybe an average to maybe a scotch above average at best, needing probably every minute of training camp that he needs to keep that game up. But I'm sure the Jets will be all right now. Geno Smith, we've talked about him, the interception machine. I think his ship has sailed from what he can do for the Jets. Maybe not, he's still young, but we'll see about that. Geno Smith probably done as a Jet though too. I just seen the headline for that. But the other news too is that Josh Gordon coming back, reinstated by the NFL. He does have a 4-game suspension that he'll have to serve before he returns to the field, and I gotta say that as far as Josh Gordon, I know he's been saying he feels like a different person. He feels like he's a changed man. I mean, yet to be seen. I think he's gotten kind of little slaps on the hands, or he might have even missed full year before too. I don't remember, but we'll see about that. But I think we got to give him a chance again. But he's been suspended so many times before that really, and kind of an unfortunate situation that him and Johnny Manziel couldn't work together. And you gotta wonder though that those two guys, I said that tongue in cheek, but you gotta wonder when you're best friends with Johnny Manziel, and we've seen the personal struggles that he's been through. You probably kind of get where I'm going with that. Where is he really changed? If Johnny Manziel is his best friend, and they really didn't get to play with each other on the field that much, so it's probably off the field stuff that got them together there. Just saying. I think the last thing I want to talk about here too is kind of a little bit about the Packers and maybe their wide receiver situation. I think an article came out with the Packers, maybe overrated and underrated players, and the most overrated player was I think just as far as what we know, what I've heard, the most overrated player was Randall Cobb, and I know that shocked a lot of people to see Randall Cobb on that list. Because I think he's still that little darling boy for receiver, and I think a guy, people are like, well, Devontae Adams, you dropped a lot of balls. I mean, I think maybe hype wise, he was a little overrated at that way for the beginning of the season, but I think realistic expectations, I don't think we thought that Devontae Adams was going to be the number one receiver here. I did like, as much as I think Phil Mike talks a lot of bullshit. I think Devontae Adams is going to be. He said, which I agree with. Devontae Adams is going to be a lot like Jermichael Finley. He's going to make those easy plays look hard, and those hard plays look easy. He's going to just have those moments. But anyway. As far as Randall Cobb's concerned, again, a lot of drops. I know his production will probably go up, with Jordy Nelson back. I think we're going to see him back to a certain extent, and he did play injured last year, but I don't believe it was his hands that were hurt all year. Again, it's kind of weird there. I think dropped a lot of balls. I think. Was probably about in my mind, just as bad as Devontae Adams. And again, with a heavy price tag that they paid you, one A salary to one B salary with Jordy Nelson, you're right up there getting paid. There shouldn't have been that significant of a drop off with losing one of your top receivers. I don't think they paid that much money to either receiver that if one went out, the other one's just defunct now too. So hopefully Randall Cobb comes back and does better. Because we're right now seeing that Jordy Nelson has a little tendonitis in his other knee after maybe trying to overcompensate for it a little bit with his ACL injury. So we'll hopefully see him back. And I still don't know what the hell Ty Montgomery did to sprain his ankle. It had to be the worst sprained ankle in all of mankind, because for him still to be out, kind of crazy. And again, I think he was a guy that I would maybe consider a little overhyped. That he had a couple game couple games stretch, maybe 10 catches for 77 yards or whatever his stats